From the playground outside the DJC Collectibles studio, I'm Midwest professional wrestling legend Gage Octane. And now, a guy that still to this day holds the 50-yard dash record at Rex Mathis Elementary School, Kyle Peterson.
What is happening, everybody? Kyle here with my co-host, Angie. Angie, say hello.
Oh, hello.
Hello. It is episode 12 of the Kyle Peterson Show. Once again, episode 12, Angie. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Next week.
And you got a little sunburn.
And I got a lot of sunburn. And of course, yesterday, just was like 90-some degrees outside. And just took about a half hour outside and bam, sunburn. So looking good.
I was out there 2 hours and got done.
Yeah, looking good.
Tan,
A little tan. You know, everybody likes a little tan. But here we are, episode number 12, just carrying on. Of course, unlucky number 13 next week. So we'll see how that one goes. And then as we're filming this, tomorrow is Friday the 13th. So I don't know. Coincidence? I don't think so. There's no such thing as coincidences, just convergences. That's what I've always been told. So I don't know about you, Angie. But Angie, you're doing good?
Yep.
Now, Angie's coming off a hot birthday. Just had her birthday the other day. How was your birthday?
Oh, it was normal.
It was normal. Okay. Well, I got you a nice extra special gift, and we went to your favorite place, Texas Roadhouse.
Yeah.
She loves a good Texas Roadhouse. So get a couple of rolls in her, and she's off to the races for sure. But we did do there. Your sister was in town for work, so she came with us. So just a beautiful time at the old Roadhouse there. And I don't know. Willie Nelson was looking me in the face there from the wall. It was a nice scene right there. Mm-hmm. Anything else? Any other good memories from your birthday?
I ate a pretty rare steak for the first time.
Yeah, she did. It was mooing still. I think it was blue. That's for sure.
It wasn't that bad.
I got the ribs, and I had an unfortunate experience at Texas Roadhouse for my birthday back in like 2005, if you remember this.
Is this the bugs?
Yes, I was eating ribs at Texas Roadhouse, and it was really weird. And I just happened to tear the rib apart, and all of a sudden I saw something like a little black speck, and I'm looking at the ribs. And I pull the meat back from the top of the bone, and all these little like beetles come marching out.
My mouth's watering.
All these extra bugs just come marching out. Angie's gonna throw up. It was a rough go at the old Roadhouse that night, but all these bugs, and they were walking out. So it's like, how is that even possible? How'd they walk out of the meat there?
Like, how'd they survive that?
And it was wild. And Angie was about ready to puke at the table. And I put her on the next level because I took a whole handful of those bugs and ate them right there at the table and impressed everybody, of course. But maybe not. But it was really weird. There was all these little beetles that came walking out of that ribs there. And there was also a fly in my salad at the same time. So that was a rough go at the Roadhouse.
Right. Oh my gosh.
And then we stopped going to the Texas Roadhouse for many years. We stopped going to that one. And I don't know what brought us back.
The kids like it.
They love to eat bugs, especially beetles out of their ribs. But I don't know how beetles would be inside the ribs and marching out. I don't know.
Marching out?
Yeah, I don't know. That's what it was like. So I don't know. Any of you cooks out there might know how that works, but I'm not sure. And
I don't even remember you like sending it back.
I don't. I never send it back. I never do. I say, unfortunately, you've been blacklisted. That's what I say. And that was a big thing. Of course, Tales from Retail, that's a story for another day. But a lot of people would say, Kyle, you eat a lot of these restaurants. You go to all these, try these places. What people are on the blacklist? And I would always have the blacklist. These are the places you stay away from. And unfortunately, old Texas Roadhouse, you were put on that blacklist for many a year. And then I have no idea how we marched back in there.
It's crazy you still eat the ribs.
I know. It is weird.
You should get a steak or something. What are you doing?
I hate paying a lot of money for a steak at a restaurant because I feel like I could do it at my house and I would enjoy it just as much. Mm-hmm. And so stuff like that's weird to me. Like, I don't need to, and I get it. You go to some fancy restaurant, you get a beautiful steak, but it costs you $100. I'm like, I could buy that. Yeah.
Where are you going? Ruth Chris's?
Yeah, that's where I'm going there. Fleming's and 801 Grand. I mean, I go to the big places, while you're eating at McDonald's, I'm at the nice ones, I guess. But I'm not paying $100 for a steak when I feel like I can just get it for like $20 and it'd just be just as tasty to me at home. Yeah. Obviously, I don't know. That's just me with steaks and stuff. But I just go to the ribs every time I go to that Texas Roadhouse.
I can't believe it.
I tried to...
I forgot about the bugs.
The time before that, we went to Texas Roadhouse, and it was like the early bird special. It was like $4:30, and I ended up getting...
I was going to say.
I got like the chicken tenders. I was eating like an 8-year-old, and they were terrible.
Well, we were going to do that, but we missed it by like 7 minutes.
Yeah,
it ended
7 minutes.
5:30.
Yeah, 5:30. We were there at like 5:15. It took them forever to come to our table, and then by the time, sorry, you're 7 minutes late. I was like, gotta be kidding me. I could have saved some money on this dinner, on Angie's special birthday dinner. And Angie didn't ride the saddle, unfortunately. I didn't even see the saddle, so I don't think they're doing the saddle.
They didn't ask. Usually they'll say, are you here for a special occasion? They didn't care.
No, they didn't care. They didn't care. So they didn't even want to give you a refill on your water.
And it feels corny to be like, hey, it's my birthday.
It's my birthday today. But
if they ask, it's one thing.
I was hoping to see you ride the saddle, though. And I
bet you were.
And I was going to get some video for it, and I was going to talk about it here, but unfortunately that didn't happen. So we might have to go to like one of those country bars or something. I'm dressed for it, of course, my finest Western wear. It looks like I just walked out of like Sedona, Arizona with this. This is just feeling the West is what this is feeling right here. But quite the birthday for Angie. Angie doesn't get too excited for her birthdays. Where me, on the other hand, I get very excited and very disappointed on my birthday. So my birthday's here in like a week or so, June 25th. So be ready for that. I think I think next episode will be the Kyle Peterson birthday celebration. It'll be like, Kyle Peterson, this is your life. We're going to have old bosses for me over the years. A couple of my old girlfriends are going to stop by. My parents. Hopefully my dad said he might be able to make my birthday. We'll see what else we can march out. I'd love to hear
from some of your old girlfriends. That'd be so fun.
It would be fun. Maybe we could all go out. Who knows what we could be up to. But I don't know if we'll get
the girls made me a cake, though.
Yeah, they did. It was okay.
It wasn't terrible. They just mixed too much and activated the gluten, so she was a little tough.
And I told Emma, I said, you don't put the whole egg in there. You got to crack the egg open. You don't just throw shell and all inside.
Oh, that was an accident.
No, she picked it out with her teeth, I think is what she did. But Angie, happy birthday once again as we close the chapter on your birthday and we open the book on my birthday here coming up in the next couple of weeks. June 25th. Mark your calendars. Don't forget this year. Don't forget. Don't forget. But also this weekend, Angie, as we're filming this, I guess if you're watching this on Tuesday, once again, cheap plug, Patreon, YouTube channel memberships, get the podcast early. But as we're filming this Sunday is Father's Day, so I cannot wait for what my special gift is. You got any ideas?
What was my special gift?
For Mother's Day?
Yeah.
I got you something. I took you out to dinner. What did I get you? I think you bought shoes or something like that. You bought your 1,000th pair of shoes, and you said, hey, this is what I'm getting for Mother's Day. I think that's what you said.
Really, you buy me everything, so.
Buy her everything she wants. Now it's time for you to buy me something that I want.
I give you what you want
all the time. But I figured you'd go a next level for Father's Day. I don't know what that level could be, but I'm sure you're creative. You'll figure something out. But Father's Day right around the corner, and the 1-2 punch, Father's Day, birthday. And then 4th of July, where they celebrate the 4th of July, of course. So we'll see how that goes. But that's right around the corner. And then, Angie, this coming Wednesday, we're going to Daniel Tosh, of course, the comedian, former Tosh.0, Tosh podcast going strong these days. He is coming to Omaha, Nebraska. So we're going to take the jaunt, go to Omaha, go see Tosh, maybe get something to eat. We'll figure out something. There's something you're hungry for? We could get you some Italian, some pizza. There is Oklahoma Joe's over there. There's a lot of options. So
gotta do barbecue probably.
We'll figure that out later too. So we're gonna wine and dine, and who knows what else we'll be doing over there in Nebraska next week. And then the other thing that's really grinding my gears right now is this whole Stray Kids business here at the end of June. That is my birthday. The day after my birthday, I have to go to Chicago and go to a K-pop concert at Wrigley Field and spend a small fortune. If the tickets were not enough, we're looking in parking around Wrigley Field, and it's like $200 to $300 to park for 4 hours. Are you kidding me? There's no way I'm spending that. There's no way. And I did find a hotel, and it is sold out, but it was like $400 and some a night for this like sleazy motel. And then you got to pay parking, but then you'd have to walk 4 miles to like the venue. And I just don't think these kids are going to walk. Obviously you could Uber. I understand the Uber thing, but I don't want to pay $50, $60 for an Uber. At the end of the day, I'm just very cheap. So we got to get that figured out here today. I am thinking about what my plan is as of right now. Angie bought parking. Oh, $30 parking. Well, she bought it like an hour away.
45 minutes.
It was like 45 minutes away is where she bought the parking. It's 45 minutes, and then you have to get on the train or whatever.
So it's right on one of the blue lines.
Yeah, it's like on one of the lines.
Jump on.
So I'm saying, well, we could just do that and ride the train for an hour and go there. I guess that'll be quite the experience.
Murdering.
I can only imagine what kind of people I'm going to encounter on that. And maybe Angie and I will do a live podcast from that 45 minute train. Maybe that would
help
train.
If we were filming. Yes, that we wouldn't get attacked.
It would really help us. They'll still
arrive. We're live streaming.
We're hoping we can make it back from Chicago with at least one one child because we know how dangerous Chicago is, of course. But honestly, I go to Chicago all the time for work, so it's not that dangerous. There's certain pockets, but we're not going to be in those pockets.
I feel like we're kind of intimidating.
I'm intimidating. Let me tell you. Oh, people see me and they run. They cross the street. I'm walking down the street like Chicago.
Tall, strong looking.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, you are too. You're just like a gorilla, a female gorilla, of course. But yeah, you know how it is. We go to Chicago. We go to the roughest neighborhoods in Chicago, and people go to the other side of the street when they see us coming. They see this Western shirt down there, and they say, "Oh, that guy's trouble. Get off here. He's probably got 2 6-shooters ready to go." Maybe, maybe not. But we will be taking the train. I've never taken the train in Chicago. I've always had the Uber. So it's going to be an experience.
We might catch a disease. You never know.
Who knows? Hell, who knows what you don't. But and we'll probably get a hotel. Like I got all these hotel points from obviously work and stuff. So I'm like, I'm just going to get a free night at the Hampton Inn somewhere and get a free hotel. We'll pay the $20 in the train, whatever. So Fiasco City. And then we got to do it all over again at the end of July, and that's going to be even more challenging.
We'll be pros by then, though. We'll be like, look at us. We're getting on the beeline.
I don't know. It's going to be a disaster. And it'll be like 100 degrees out. It's going to be this K-pop music. It's just going to be something. So I'm sure we'll film.
So tired.
I'm sure we'll film some stuff along the way. We'll see how it goes. So that's a bit of the housekeeping. Angie, got anything else this week for us?
That was a lot of housekeeping.
Yes. You enjoying your time in the pool? We got a little pool at Costco. Angie's in this laying out there in the bikini. You were, admit to everybody, you were out there topless last night. I saw you. She was out there. I'm like,
well, I didn't mean to.
Well, you still were. Yeah, it was just flipped down.
I pulled the straps off to lay on my back so I could get a good back tan. Yep. And then when I came around the current, you know.
And I'm just sitting there in the chair, just like
the gravity.
And then the neighbor kid and the parents, they're over there like this. What's going on over there? What's happening in that pool? Oh my God. Might have to get a higher fence. Maybe. But Angie, that's the housekeeping. We'll get more into your topless stuff back in story time from Kyle later on in this video. We got an all-timer of a story. Angie's not looking forward to it, but we're going to talk about it. But Angie, first, let's go a little bit deeper. Just a little deeper. And you have come to like that. So it's time for a deeper dive. All right, it's time for a deeper dive where we dive into a little bit deeper of something, usually toy related, but it can be something else. It could be Angie. It could be anything under the sun. You never know what we might be deeper diving into. And today is an interesting story. And I guess this could have theoretically been story time with Kyle, but we're going to go a little deeper dive into my flirtation with network TV, I guess cable television. We'll call it cable television. That's what it is. But Angie, and Angie, of course, doesn't know where we're going here. But Angie, feel free to chime in if you have any remembrance of this. And Angie, we found out, doesn't have the best memory. We're going to find that out a little bit later on in this video too. But doesn't have the greatest memory out there. But if you have any remembrance, feel free to chime in. But right before COVID was starting, what year would that have been? Like 2020? It was, I think it was early 2020, maybe. It was the infancy of my YouTube channel. I had just been doing YouTube for, let's say, 6 months, tops probably at this point. And I did get a message from a producer, basically a producer of a television show. And they were in charge of Pawn Stars, like counting cars, that whole rigmarole, and others, I believe. So then they basically found talent for shows. I don't know, they were a talent scout, producing company. I don't know exactly what they all were. And I just got a random email out of the blue. Now, I've had a few of these emails since then, but this was very shocking to me. Like, wait a minute, you want what? And it was basically, hey, we're not going to tell you the show, but we're looking for people for this show, and we feel you would be a good fit. We liked your personality. We saw your YouTube channel, all this kind of stuff. So I'm like, wow, this is interesting. What is this going to be about here? So and they wanted to know if I had any interest and if we could schedule a Zoom call. I think it was at the time. I think it was Teams is the sweep of the nation now. I know for work I'm using Teams calls, but I think it was Zoom call we were on for this. And they want to know if I'd be interested and if I could let them know and what times would work in the next week for a Zoom call. So I said, oh my gosh, you're kidding me here. So I said, okay, I am good. I went and did the Zoom call. So got there for the Zoom call and everything, and they filled me in a little bit more. The producer lady introduced herself.
Tell you what to wear or something?
Yeah. They did say I couldn't wear, obviously from the YouTube, I'm wearing Motorhead shirts, things like that. They said I had to wear a plain black shirt, white shirt, or whatever. I guess because they were going to record it and they were going to take it to different people to see if I would be the right fit or whatever it may have been. So you do have a little bit of remembrance here. It's coming back, Angie. It's dialing back. But I had that Zoom call there, and it was basically, tell us about yourself. They asked a couple questions, very, very, very standard stuff, and they said, we're asking you these questions just to get a feel for you, your personality, your conversation, how you act. We've seen you on YouTube, so we kind of see you from there. And it's funny is too, like, I was not very good at you. Some would say I'm still not very good at YouTube, but especially back then, you don't got your sea legs quite yet. You just don't know what you're doing. You don't know how you're talking to cameras and stuff. But either way, I talk for work. I talk a lot, so I'm used to talking to people and having conversations. Long story short, went through that whole rigmarole of the first Zoom call thinking, oh, well, they're going to call me back. What's going to happen? Like 3 weeks later, I get a message back. Kyle, we got a few questions for you. Could you answer these back? Did that. And then they said, hey, we want to have another Zoom call with you. And it's with like the production company. It was a bunch of people that were involved with the show. Mm-hmm. And they wanted to know, could I make time or whatever. So I ended up going to my office for that Zoom call. And I wanted to be totally, because I think it might have been when the kids just got out. Obviously, I didn't want the kids running around. And the kids were a lot younger then. Dogs screaming and yelling and all that kind of stuff.
Dogs screaming?
Yeah. I didn't want all that stuff. So I went to my office. So I took the final call there. And that's where they filled me in that there was an upcoming show. And they weren't sure what network at the time. It was going to be HGTV or A&E. They weren't sure on the network yet. And I guess, they're all kind of linked together a lot of those times. And they had already filmed some pilot episodes. And those pilot episodes ended up airing. But it was for a TV series called Everything But the House. Do you remember this at all? It's called Everything But the House. Now, this was right before COVID started. And they had already filmed like 3 or 4 pilot episodes, which actually ended up launching for season 1. They did that, and they asked, I was basically going to be the guy. It was kind of like, here was the premise of the show. I should probably start there with the premise of the show. It was Laura Spencer, I think was her name. She was like a newscaster or something, but she was the host of the show. You always have these hosts on these shows, And basically it was, hey, this old couple in Florida, they decided they're moving to the Dominican Republic, and they're selling everything that's inside the house, and they have their kids come over or whatever. And that's where they call in different experts. And you can imagine where this is going here. Here's the antiques, pottery and stuff expert. He comes in for this. They were going to use me as the toy action figure expert, where I would come in and I would, say, oh my gosh.
Like gray stuff.
Yeah, you got these original Kenner Star Wars figures here. They are complete. And oh my gosh, you got the vinyl Cape Jawa or something like that. And I'd be, you dress it up for TV. These reality shows aren't real. We all know that. But I would have been that guy. And I'm sure they're like, oh, here's this eccentric toy guy. He'd be perfect, instead of just getting somebody that's just, dumber than a box of rocks or can't put 2 sentences together or whatever. I'm sure. No offense to those people, of course. But I was going to be that appraiser guy that would come in and do that kind of stuff. So was working through all that. And, in TV, I've learned, and I've heard it for years, and it truly is the case, because there's been a couple other TV things that's like, hurry up and wait. Sometimes they just have all this and they never even get back to you at all. And actually, this one, I had that final interview, whatever you want to call it. And then it was like a month later that COVID hit and everything started to get locked down and stuff. And they said, oh my gosh. Yeah, you just forget all this for now. We'll see what happens in the future, because you're not nobody's doing anything anymore. And I want to say it was a couple years into COVID. It might have been even like 2 or 3 years later that first season actually did air, and it was like all pilot stuff. And then they had a couple of episodes of like a second season, and that's where I would have came into. And obviously none of the episodes featured action figures or toys, so they never even got that far. And I think the show was just totally canceled, given up on. I don't know exactly what happened to the show, but it is out there. I think you can find it probably somewhere streaming or whatever. And they have maybe like 5 or 6 episodes or something. But a brief flirtation with that. And Angie, where could we have been if we would have been on that show?
I almost thought you were going to talk about the other show. What was the one show that they wanted to see your collection? Or are you going to talk about this later?
Yeah, that's still in the works.
Yeah.
So there is a show that's like,
I didn't know.
There is a show where maybe they tour collections that they've reached out to me a few times, and you take the good, you take the bad, and then you've had the facts of life. There's enough hints in that one there. So we'll see what becomes of that in the future. But yeah, that Everything But the House unfortunately just got chopped off. But I remember it got to the point where they asked me, can you be available? It was like 30 days, and I had to go to New York, and it was going to be somewhere in New York. They were going to film around the New York area, and it was 30 days, and I had to talk to my work, and I said, hey, here's the deal. I'll take PTO. Can I get this? And they were excited. They said, hey, do whatever you got to do at my work. So I would have been able to go out there, probably worked around things and took some PTO, mix it in there. So what could have been? Who knows? But obviously it could have been the end of my career if the show would have got canceled. I don't know, Angie. Angie's laughing.
Would have made for a good story.
It would have made for a great story. Who knows? Who knows what would have happened with that? But it was interesting. But yeah, I've had a few of those things in the past come through here. What was the show? What was that show called? It was like WWE's Buried Treasures. What was it? It was like that AJ guy.
I'm no help on this.
Yeah.
I'm no help.
They reached out to me about Ultimate Warrior stuff, which is funny. And I'm like, no, because they were hoping I had all this Ultimate Warrior ring gear and stuff. I was like, no, I'm just not a ring gear guy or anything. But then they wanted to know about some of my wrestling pieces and like my Jakks stuff. So I had to show them through the 1 of 100s, the 1 of 20 Warriors and all that kind of stuff. And that's one of those ones where they ask for all this stuff, then you never hear back from them. I always send them one email like a couple weeks later, hey, anything on this? And if they don't answer back at all, it's like, it's off the table. Where this everything but the house, stay tuned. We apologize by the delay. We're just not sure what's going on in the world right now. Yeah. So it was a little bit more understanding there. But if COVID wouldn't have happened, it would have been interesting to see where that might have ended up going, because that was a lot of work I put into that. And there was a lot of back and forth rigmarole with that as well. Mm-hmm. So, Angie, that is a deeper dive into the world of TV with everything but the house and more. Very interesting time. And what could have been? What could have been? Never know. But Angie, you know what it's time for now?
Turning food?
Nope. It's time for...
I'm clearly hungry.
It's time for Figure of the Week. It's time for Figure of the Week, Angie's favorite segment. Angie's favorite segment. Angie's ready to try some new foods, and we got a big one for Angie this week. She found this week, and we'll talk more about that here coming up. But Angie, first, we got to dig into the Figure of the Week. And this week's Figure of the Week, we're going to Walmart once upon a time. We're going to the masters of the WWE Universe, Ultimate Warrior.
What a cutie.
Ooh. Now, you guys know I'm an Ultimate Warrior fan. I love He-Man. I love wrestling, but I really love the Ultimate Warrior. And when you think Masters of the Universe, a guy like the Ultimate Warrior fits right in there. And this is a line that I felt, Angie, was very ahead of its time. And it's unfortunate this line was canceled. I know Mattel has said, hey, there's always a chance we could revisit this in the future. It's been a few years since this line existed. And some people have sold it off, but a lot of people have started collecting this line again. I have heard from those people personally trying to track some down. Luckily, you can go to Walmart online. There's a lot of cheap deals on some of these to help build out your collection. But it's very interesting, and this was really the start of the crossover Mattel Masters of the Universe. So they went to this. Then later on, of course, they did the Turtles of Grayskull. Then they did the WWE Superstars line, the most challenging figure line to collect in this universe. And now they're doing like the Thundercats crossover line. So we've seen a lot of crossover with the origin style bodies, the origin style figures, many different lines, but this is really where it started. And I wouldn't say this line was extremely hard to get. It had some challenges as you got deeper into the waves. Some of the rings, especially the Hulk Hogan ring, was very difficult to find, but a very, very fun line crossover for someone like me that cut my teeth on Masters of the Universe, later started collecting wrestling, bringing those worlds together where it really felt like they belonged together. And obviously the Warrior is going to be at the top of the list for me. And this is my preferred Warrior from this line, of course. I think it looks really cool, very powerful, very beautiful. Is the Ultimate Warrior a very fun one? He is definitely the heroic champion of WWE Eternia. And it'd be interesting to see once this Thundercats crossover is done, if they do attempt to revisit something like this. Personally, my gut, I don't know what your gut says, Angie. I don't think it says anything besides you're hungry. But I don't think they probably will ever come back to this, unfortunately. I don't think they will. I think the Superstars, I don't know what's going to happen with that in the future. My guess is after the Thundercats crossover, they're probably going to dial into a DC crossover. I could see that with them getting the DC license.
That's
They'll
what
probably.
I was thinking.
That's what you were thinking?
Mm-hmm.
I figured as much. I could read your mind. I wanted to say it before you did, that's for sure. But I could see a He-Man crossover with DC. They've done it in the comic books. That's just a natural fit. So I think once Thundercats are done here in a year, 2 years, whatever time ends up being with that, I think we'll see that. Once again, the Superstars line, I have no idea. I have no idea where that's going. I can't even find the last 2 series. Nothing's been in my area forever. Most of my stores have taken them off the shelf. I don't know. But somebody get me that grape Muda. That's all I know there. But I do love this Warrior. I have multiples in my collection. Gotta have this one here. The Ultimate Warrior Masters WWE Universe is the figure of the week. But now, Angie, we segue to what you're really excited for. What do you think it is?
I was just wondering if you had a loose one of that. I'd want to see him with his cape on.
I do.
Okay.
I have multiples, and
You can show me
I'll
later.
show you later. I'll show you later. I'm glad you're interested. But now, Angie, it's time for your favorite segment. What is it?
You gotta try
Nope,
it.
not that one yet. No. Now it's time to try new foods because it might taste good.
Try a little bit of this and a little bit of that. A little bit of this and a little bit of that. We gotta try new food because they might taste good.
All right, Angie, it's time for your favorite segment. It is time to try new foods because they might taste good. But before we get there, Angie, we didn't do this at the top, so I'm trying to keep people guessing right here.
Oh my God.
Of course, I got to plug it. It is my new book, The Complete Guide to the ECW Original San Francisco Toy Makers. Angie, why do I have to plug this?
No one else will.
Because no one else will.
Exactly.
So grab your autographed copies from me or Amazon and Barnes & Noble. Check it out if you have not already. And once again, want to thank the sponsor of this episode, DJC Collectibles. Use discount code ADOFFDJC to save 8% off your entire order. Got to mix it up, keep people guessing, Angie. That's what we got to do here, but we plugged it at the top as well. But shout out to DJC Collectibles. And if you want to sponsor the Kyle Peterson Show or YouTube videos, reach out to me at the Kyle Peterson Show at gmail.com. There you go. There you go. A little plug out of the way. Angie, now it is time where you really shine. And let's be honest, you're shining all day long. Shining bright like a diamond, as Sia said.
I look like I'm going to a hoedown.
You look like you're going to a picnic. It's kind of making me hungry for the Colonel, KFC. I love the Colonel. Get me a bucket of chicken, some mashed potatoes, and some of that slaw. Maybe a biscuit. Oh, now we're talking. But Angie, it's time to try new foods. And unfortunately, it is not our friend, the Colonel. Angie, you got a hot one, hot off the shelf this week, hitting stores right now. What is it?
Selena Gomez Oreo.
It's the Wizards of Waverly Place Oreo edition. And that's all I know from Selena Gomez. But you're more in tune to Selena, right?
Well,
and it's not the Selena that got murdered down in Texas once upon a time. Totally different Selena. So don't make that mistake.
Don't.
Don't. So, Angie, what do you got to say about this one here? Bright pink packaging here. They're trying to get you.
What is this, burgundy?
Maroon? Maybe?
Maroon.
It's an interesting color on this.
Burgundy's like the purplish color.
It is interesting, and this does stand out, of course. It does look
sharp. It looks really sharp on the display.
And it's got a bit of a foil kind of color. I don't know if color is foil, but a foil kind of package. The light hits it just right and stuff, so it's really going to stand out. Now, obviously, if I am Mondelez Corporation, the former Nabisco, if I'm going to market with one of this, here's a little food for you. Mm-hmm. If you're going to market for this, I would tell all my sales reps out there, I'd say these do not belong in the Oreo aisle. They do not belong in the cookie aisle. These should be for display only. There's going to be a lot of customers coming in for this one. I would talk to that store director at that individual store, the buyer, whatever it may be. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to put these in the regular aisle. These are display only. And guess what, manager? You don't give me a display for these, you're not getting these in your store. I'm going to take them to Walmart. I'm going to take them to Target. I'm going to take them wherever they do end up going else. Mm-hmm. That's what you do. And that's what companies, CPG, of course, consumer packaged goods companies, have to do with these kind of things. Is there's going to be some hip hop people around there looking for this. There's going to be people all over. She's hip hop, isn't she? What is she? I don't even know what she sings.
Pop, yeah.
She's a wizard. I know that. I don't know about her wizard sleeve, but
oh my God.
Who knows? But she's a wizard of Waverly Place, as we all know. But there's going to be, she has a fan base. That's what I was going to get at. She has a fan base. They're going to be coming in looking for this. And guess what, manager? You don't want this in the aisle because they're going to assume, where do I find these? I'm going to go to the aisle. They're not going to be there. And then it's where the hunt starts. And guess what? That hunt, manager, that's where you end up getting, oh, I do need some milk. Oh, I need to buy this candle. Oh, I better get a Mother's Day card or whatever. So building that basket, building that building that basket ring, not so much the tone, but that's what you do. That's how you build stuff like this. So you got to have this on display. So I would guess
we can insert a picture display here.
Good.
I got some on my phone.
Okay, but yeah, if I am a manager, that's how I'm selling this. That's how I'm going to market with a strategy like this. So that's a little Tales from Retail. We're really crossing the streams here, is what we're doing, Angie. We're doing some story time with Kyle in Deeper Dive. We're doing a little Tales from Retail here. It's just all over the place this week, and just wait till we get to the real story time with Kyle. But Angie, we're going to dive in.
What's the taste? You got to tell them.
One serving equals 2 cookies, 140 calories here.
That's always what it is.
Slit appears when opened. Everybody loves the slit, that's for sure. I'm a big fan of the
it's
slit.
supposed to give like a horchata vibe or whatever you call that.
Selena's chocolate and cinnamon cream cookies. Open it up, Angie. Let's see what we got here.
Where's the what?
Where's the slit? Where's the slot? I can't find the slot. Can never find the slot.
Can you give her a smell?
Yep. Smell it.
Your sniffer's terrible though.
I don't know. It smells like something.
What does that smell like?
Cinnamon, chocolate, cream.
I think it smells like a holiday Starbucks drink or something.
Smells like wonderful cream. Got the regular kind of Oreo look to it here. Oh, is that a picture of Selena on the back? I don't know what that's supposed to be.
They're all different. So some are hearts. I think some's her signature. That's her signature. So
it is a double stuff. I prefer the single stuff. I don't like a lot of cream in my Oreos. Angie, you love the cream just dripping out of your mouth. I know that for sure.
That must be what her people call her. Selenators. You know how they're like.
I have no idea. I know nothing about
for Taylor
Selena
Swift,
Gomez.
they say they're Swifties. You know,
this is more your world than
the
me.
fan base.
I'm more in the Night Demon world, and we're going to talk about them a little bit later too, as well. But
it's got 2 different types of cream.
How do you like your cream? Lot or little?
Thick.
You like thick, like a milkshake. Like a milkshake. That's for sure.
I did hear a fact about that.
What?
That there's like 12 grams of protein in that.
In these?
In that.
Not well.
And you know what wordplay.
I don't know.
They're like,
well,
ladies,
find out
protein.
later. We'll find out later.
12 grams.
I was wondering why you've been having so many shakes every day. It makes sense now. I wonder what you're using that for. All right, let's try it off.
Why did you do yours?
I squished it. Squashed it.
Oh my gosh. I'm going to choke. It's good. What does it taste like? There's a very specific... No, maybe it's like a gingerbread cookie that it reminds me of.
It tastes like a trip down to Mexico. I feel like I've had this taste before.
I think...
It does definitely have...
anything horchata, but I think that's what they were going for.
I don't even know what horchata is, but it does have a
drink. It's like a sweetened condensed milk and cinnamon and chocolate. It's like a...
At first, I taste the Oreo cream in this. Everybody knows that cream, of course. But then in the back end, you taste the cinnamon. You taste that cinnamon cream. Mm-hmm. And then the cookie, it's a different cookie. I don't know what... It almost reminds me of like a red velvet cookie or something.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe the cream, maybe that chocolate cream on the inside is red velvet.
I will say this is a very fresh Oreo. Mm-hmm. These just hit the market this week as we're filming this. Mm-hmm. So they are very, very fresh. They will taste different a month or 2 from now. Mm-hmm. What's the expiration date on this?
I think October. It's weird. The markings on them have moved.
Can't find the expiration date. Throw it up right there. October. So yeah, you're eating one of these on October 13th. They're going to taste different than they taste now. So if you want to try these, I'd recommend getting after it right away while they're the freshest they possibly could be.
Okay, though.
But they're not terrible. I would never buy them again.
I mean, it's very sweet. Like it's squeaking my cheeks, but...
Now, I would never buy these again, would you?
No.
You get the regular.
Yeah.
So to me, that's one of those things is... One thing, I think we've probably talked about this before, with the average retail new item in the grocery market, 85% of new items fail. So people try them once, they don't try them again. There's very few things that do stick around. This thing isn't meant to stick around. This is like Angie, it's the good old in and out. This is an in and out item. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it's not here. It's not here for a long time, but it's here for a good time.
Yep.
Just like Angie with this podcast, She never know. She might call it a quits one of these days on us. You never know.
One day you have a blow-up doll here.
No. Save your jokes. Save your jokes on that. But there it is. Not terrible. What are you going out of 5? I feel like a broken record on all mine.
3.5.
I'm just going a 3. It's definitely passable, worth trying once. It's not something I would buy every time. And I think like Angie, most people would get this and maybe not get it again. Go back to their regular Oreo or their double stuff Oreo is probably what people will do. But
I'm just so glad we had something tasty after that rib story with the bugs. Because imagine if we had to eat the bugs today, I would have puked. Yeah, I would have needed a puke bowl.
We need to. One of these days, we're going to find some bugs. We're going to eat them here on camera.
I think you can get them on Amazon.
I'm
They're
sure
like
we can.
chocolate-covered crickets or
We're going to do it. We're going to do it one of these days. So stay tuned to that in the future. But
I just got the goosebumps.
So Angie, you were a 3.5. I was a 3. So once again, we're kind of right in the bucket there.
Yeah, try them.
That's good. I think anything 3 to 5 is worth definitely trying. Anything below that might be a pass. But not bad, interesting, hitting the market right now. So be on the hunt. You're probably going to have to look for the display for old Selena.
Go fast too.
So there it is. Let's try new foods because they might taste good. I think we got maybe some chips next week. We'll see what ends up happening there. You never know. Things could change, but we'll see what happens. But Angie, now it's time for another special one, a very special one, a 10-year anniversary one. It's time for Album of the Week. All right, Angie, it's time for Album of the Week. And this week we got something extra special as this year, 2025, is the 10-year anniversary of the debut album from one of my all-time favorite bands. The band is, of course, Night Demon. And anybody that watches my YouTube channel knows all about Night Demon. They wrote a song just for me for the opening of my YouTube channel. So cool of them to do that a couple of years ago. And it's very crazy to me that 10 years ago was the first time I also saw Night Demon. And I guess that's where I'm going to start. Now, their first album is called Curse of the Damned. If you don't own it, you better buy it right now or go check it out wherever you need to. Came out 10 years ago in January 14th, 2015. I wrote this down right here for this. Now, this came out, and the first time I ever saw Night Demon in concert, and I found this out today, which is very interesting, January 13th, 2015. So I saw them the day before their album dropped, but they had it at the merch stand. I bought all the shirts and the album that night, the first time I ever saw Night Demon. I was blown away. And Night Demon was on this tour with a band called Skull Fist, and I believe they have broken up since then. And a band from Australia, and this is the reason I came to the show, it was a band called Elm Street. Elm Street Metal, check them out. I still enjoy Elm Street to this day. But Night Demon was opening for them. And Night Demon did have an EP out before this album. I did not have that until later. I bought it at the concert that night as well. But Night Demon was the first time I ever got to see them. It was a place called Vaudeville Muse. You've been there as well. And I've seen Night Demon probably 20-some times since this time here over the last 10 years. And they don't tour a ton in the United States. I mean, they do. But it's not like one of those bands you're going to see 4 or 5 times a year unless you travel. And that's what I've had to do is to go to different places to see them. And you saw them one time, I think. Only one time, and just fairly recently. Angie finally got around to going to the Night Demon show when they were opening for King Diamond not too long ago. But I did see them that first night, and I didn't even know who Night Demon was. Never even heard of them. And I was blown away that night, obviously. And I've been a fan ever since then. And I've met the guys, know the guys. Obviously, like I said, they did the theme song for the channel. But I was blown away by that first album and all the albums since then. I enjoy everything they're doing. It's really what I look for in heavy metal, especially where I'm at here today. So I was very impressed by Cursed of the Damned. Pick up your copy if you haven't already, as I did say. But just so many iconic songs on there. But Night Demon, of course, celebrating the 10th anniversary of this album with some specific tours. Easy for me to say, Angie. Some specific shows out there. And the one I'm most excited about is August 9th at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland, Ohio, of course. They are playing that night in Cleveland. Now, we've been kicking around the idea of going. If we can get away from these K-pop shows, and Angie's got a Philadelphia trip coming up, of course.
And we got Hinterland the weekend before.
Oh yeah, she's got this. She's got some other concert with Tyler the Creator and who else?
Lana Del Rey.
Lana Del Rey. All these really exciting ones. So they're booked up with a lot of stuff. I'm going to San Diego, so we'll see about going to Cleveland. But it would be nice to go. I've never been to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I would like to go to the show that night, and then the next day go to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and then we fly out the next day. We'll see what happens. And Angie, you've never been to Cleveland. I've never been to Cleveland. Could be time for the Cleveland invasion, and that'd be the perfect time to do it because the only other time I think they're playing the album in full is at Frost and Fire. That's in October in Ventura, California, if you want to go out to that one. Maybe we go to Ventura, California, Angie. Who knows? We could go to that. We can see our buddies in Haunt are playing that as well. High Spirits is going to be there. Check out Frost and Fire as well. But looking at that Cleveland show, so we'll see what ends up happening there. We'd love to hear this whole album. But wait, Angie, there is more. Part of the 10th anniversary here, everything is a segue this week and all these things. As this could also be figure of the week because Night Demon has announced a new action figure line with their first ever figure, Eugene. Of course, the album artwork cover. I guess think of it as Super 7 reaction style figure here. You know me, I'm going to have to get 2 of them. One on card, one to open up, probably sit on the desk right here. But very cool of Night Demon to take that next level to buy that. It's a perfect item too because it's not going to break the bank. It's not a Super 7 Ultimate. It's going to be 50-some bucks. You're going to be around $20 on these figures. They can sell them at their merch table, get them autographed. there's a lot of goodness with these Night Demon figures, I do think. I'm very excited for it. Obviously, being an action figure guy, a Night Demon guy brings it all together for me. It's
Two worlds collide.
Two worlds coming together, and we love it when we come together, Angie. You know how that goes. It's just a great time. I'm very excited for this. Now, I will tell you, Jay's toysandgames.com, of course, good friends of the channel, as we do know, they will be selling these online as well. I'm not sure where Night Demon's going to be selling all these figures at. I'm sure there's going to be different locations, different places, probably merch if you go to see them at a show as well. But I do know Jay's will be carrying these. And once they're in stock, guess what? 15%. Use discount code Kyle. You can save 15% on those figures. That's where I'm going to pick my figures from up, obviously, since they're a good supporter of the channel as well. We'll talk about it. We'll probably review it on the channel. No, probably about it. We will review the figures on the channel as well as we celebrate the 10th anniversary of Curse of the Dam. And once again, what is time? I can't believe it was 10 years ago I saw Night Demon for the first time. Just absolutely wild. It feels like they're a new band, but if you've been around 10 years, you're not really a new band anymore. But man, they always feel like a new band to me. And you think of the Iron Maidens of the world, but there is stuff after, obviously. And it's things like Night Demon that really get my juices flowing. As well as Angie, of course, as we do know. But that is the album of the week, Curse of the Damned. I don't know if you've ever listened. You've heard all the songs. You probably just don't know they're on that album. That's how it goes with Angie. She's heard every single album.
I just remembered I've seen them twice in concert.
Oh, have you? When was the other time?
What was the one we went downtown and then we walked around for a little bit?
You didn't go.
What?
Elle and I went into the show. So my daughter Elle was like 5 years old at the time. Emma was a newborn baby.
No, this was like recently. We went and they opened for that really weird band.
Yeah. You're right. Yeah,
what
that
was called.
I forgot. That was the first. You've seen them twice now. Yeah, they opened up for, oh my gosh, Blind Guardian. Took me a second. Had to go through the Rolodex. They opened up for Blind Guardian. And I've seen Blind Guardian a few times in concert. But that was the first time. I forgot all about that. But there was the first time Elle went to Night Demon with me. You had Emma, who was a newborn at the time. You just kind of walked out because Night Demon was opening. I forget who they were opening for on that one. But it was like, opener only played a half hour. So I went in there and I think you went and just walked around downtown for a little bit with the stroller and stuff. You might even have got a taco at that one taco place you liked, I think. I don't know.
That's what I was doing.
That's a story for another day, maybe. Story time with Angie. And we got a big all-time.
Me postpartum eating a lot.
Yeah, who knows what you're up to? Who knows? But August 9th, Cleveland, Ohio. If you're in the Cleveland area, better head over to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. That's got to be a good time. They're going to be performing the whole album front to back. Be ready for that. I got to think they're going to play some of the other hits as well. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be the Summer of the Demon, I guess is what we'll call it. So I'm hoping I can get out there August 9th. But if I can't, you better get out there for me. That's what I'm going to say there. But of course, album of the week, Curse of the Damned, Night Demon. Check it out if you have not heard it already. But now, Angie, it's time for an interesting one. It's time for Story Time with Kyle. All right, Angie, it's time for Story Time with Kyle, and this one involves Angie as well. Angie's just like, I don't want to talk about this. I don't want to. But it'll be funny, Angie. It'll be funny. But it's time for Story Time with Kyle. And Angie, we first met each other in 2024. The very end.
2024?
Oh, wait. 2004. Oh, my gosh. What is time once again? We met each other at the very end of 2004. It was Thanksgiving weekend. That's where we ended up meeting each other.
A little Black
Friday bars. That's where you go. That's where you go to the dance club.
Been Thanksgiving night.
It was, I think, Thanksgiving night, and that's one of the biggest nights at the bars. And we met at a dance club of all things, which is very, very strange because I'm not a dance club guy. But I think my buddies were like, "Hey, let's go to this dance club," and we ended up going there, and the rest is history. A story for another day, I think, is what that would be.
It's a wild one.
It was a wild one, but and we've been together ever since. That's for sure. So very cool there, huh?
It all worked out. Surprisingly,
it all worked out. But Angie and I had to have been maybe 6 months later, something like that. Angie and I were on the couch, probably watching Monday Night Raw in the Ultimate Fighter, possibly. We watched a lot of that back in the day. And back then in 2004, there was TV commercials all the time. And it was one of our favorite series, or one of our favorite sub-series ever. It was a show called, or a DVD series called Girls Gone Wild. Anybody remember Girls Gone Wild? I think there's been some documentaries on it since then as well.
I think I've heard about it.
Yeah, you've heard about it. So we're watching this, and there was a clip of one of the DVDs they were promoting. They were promoting DVDs. You guys, if you were around, you know all about it. Every night they would just have commercial after commercial after commercial. And there was a campus Girls Gone Wild once, and once upon a time. And Angie just a campus girl, of course. loves the campus, loves being a girl. But there was one, and it was at home of the Iowa Hawkeyes. Iowa City is where this one was. And, they're promoting it on there, and it was like Midwest or something like that.
Midwest Girls College.
Yeah. And I'm like, what the heck? And Angie, you had told me before about this that you were at the bars, and Girls Gone Wild was there filming and stuff. And you were invited because there was a bunch of girlfriends and all that, and they were all going because I think they gave everybody free drinks, everything, as you can imagine.
As you would.
The
drunker, the better.
Exactly. And you told me a little bit. And did you say Snoop Dogg was there or something?
I don't tell too much information. People are going to find the DVD.
Yeah, they can. No, but I don't know. But there was a lot going on or something. But then in this commercial, this picture came up. And if you're watching the video version of this, you can see that picture right there. And I'm like, I do one of these. I scrunch my eyes. I'm like, wait a minute. Pause that. What is going on here? And because it looked just like dear old Angie. It looked very, very similar to you at the time. And I'm just like, is this you? And this is, of course, TVs weren't 4K and all that kind of stuff anymore. And it's weird when you watch old video clips from back in the day on some of that stuff. It's like, gosh, I can't believe I watched TV with that kind of quality. But the quality was just terrible. But now it's like,
you didn't know any better.
Yeah, it's crystal clear now. And you're like, holy cow. And I'm like, wait a minute, is this you? And you're like, no, that's not me. And I'm just like, I'm sitting there, and I went and I got the magnifying glass out on the TV, and I'm like, wait a minute. I think that's you. And you're like, no, that's not me.
I played the fifth on all this.
Yeah, you plead the fifth, but it wasn't. And then you did, but then there was girls in that video that you knew. Like, you were there with a whole group of girls, and you knew all those girls and what they were up to. But Angie, you don't remember. You put all this stuff out of your mind. You can never remember anything to save your life. And I don't know if that's
I've never seen it.
And I have seen it because I did get it. And it wasn't Angie, unfortunately. I was very excited it was going to be Angie right there. And I figured for sure, just knowing Angie and the partier she is, that it would have been you. But it was not Angie in the video, unfortunately. But it's so crazy how this picture looked a lot like you at the time, for sure.
And I looked totally different then.
Yeah.
I had like short blonde hair.
Yeah, she was. When I met you, you had short blonde hair. It was like, how high was it? Probably.
Yeah, and it was probably even shorter then.
Yeah.
This would have been like early 2000s.
Yeah, you were living that short hair life, and you're never going to go short hair again?
No.
Yeah, you're no hair
Never
girl.
go blonde again either.
Yeah.
Too much work.
Never go blonde again. Oh, go blonde. One more time. We want to see it. But I'll never forget that time, just looking at the couch, looking over to you like, what? And you had told me about it before, so I figured this was 100%.
I was like, oh, there's no way I'm actually in it. I didn't sign anything. He's like, nobody signed anything.
I don't think nobody signed anything. But unfortunately for us, that would have been a whole nother story if we could have talked that and shown that. I guess we couldn't have shown the video if there was a video at the time, but it was a wild one. I couldn't believe it. Like I said, I got the magnifying glass out, and I was like a young Inspector Gadget. I put on the trench coat, the hat, and everything. I'm like, wait a minute here. Had to track that one all down.
Was it me or wasn't it?
You never know. Never know. We're going to have to do some digital imaging where we'll put that and they'll compare it and say, is this the same person? Is it not? Who knows? But yeah, it isn't. It's funny how I look at it now and I intimately know you, and it's definitely not. It's
You're like,
definitely
I
not.
know those.
I
girls.
know a lot. So unfortunately not you at a younger stage, but now she just goes wild every single day. We just told about back in the backyard in the pool.
It's Girls Gone Wild every day.
Girls Gone Wild every day. We talked about that last week where Angie's not wearing anything, walking around the house 24/7. So nothing I haven't seen before, I guess there, but
gosh.
It was an interesting time on the couch, that's for sure. Especially when we were just first knowing each other. It was pretty eye-opening too. But
the fact that like I was actually
there,
associated with it, and I thought my heart dropped because I was like, maybe it is me.
You know, get a couple drinks in her, you never know. But you did know some of the girls, and I remember at the time you were reading off their names, like,
scared.
"Oh, that's her. I know her. Here's her name." But then, but I guarantee you now, if I showed you those pictures of the girls, you would never remember their name in a million years.
No,
she never remember anything. But I remember at the time, you're like, "Oh my gosh, that's Jocelyn or whoever it was," and you're like, "That's Terry or whatever it was." I don't know what their names were, but I don't remember either because I didn't know them, but. It was a wild time, hence the Girls Gone Wild, of course.
Never got paid for that either.
Yeah, you weren't in it, so that was wild. I'm not going to send you a check if you're not there. It's like me in that house story I told earlier. They're not sending me anything. And I went through all these Zoom calls with them.
Oh, my God.
I don't know, but it was a different time back then. I miss some of that time, though. I liked that. They need to get back to that, but there's all kinds of documentaries, fiascos about it. So somebody had to ruin it for everybody, and I guess the Girls Gone Wild team is the ones that ruined it for everybody at the end of the day, but... like I said, Angie going wild every single day. So it's funny, though. It's funny. I'll never forget sitting on that couch and just being like absolutely shocked. And I'm like, oh my gosh, everybody I know is going to see this because these commercials are running during Raw and stuff. And
you're like, who did I bring to my house?
Who is this? Because it definitely looked like you at the time. That's
really
for
did.
sure. So anyways, that is, of course, Angie's story time with Kyle. What do you think of that story? Wish we wouldn't have told it.
Blessed.
Who knows? But there it is, Angie. That's story time with Kyle. Now it's time for a few final thoughts. All right, Angie, time to bring it home. We got things to do. That's for sure. We got things to do. But let's close out episode 12 of the Kyle Peterson Show. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube. Make sure you check it out on the podcast platforms as well. Give it the old 5-star review. And if you do want to put a review up and you want to give us a 5-star review, email it to the Kyle Peterson Show at gmail.com, depending where you give the review, and we will read it here on the podcast as well. And usually we have a question of the week this week. No questions this week, Angie. We apparently answered it all last week, or nobody was listening. I don't know, one or the other, but the listening numbers look really good, and I'm actually shocked how many people are listening on the podcast audio stream. Mm-hmm. So I appreciate everybody driving down the road, listening to that kind of stuff. There's been a lot on there, so I appreciate that. And as they say, all the metrics of podcasts, we're blowing it away as far as that. So it's the little things in life. It's a labor of love, And of course, the video cast too, looking good over here. So thanks for everybody for checking that out. But no questions of the week this week, Angie. But you had about 1,000, and I'm not kidding, between all forms of social media, about 1,000 people wish you a happy birthday.
Oh, that's so nice.
Very nice. People are thinking about you on your special day. I'm just hoping there's about 3,000 people that wish me a happy birthday on my birthday. That's what I'm hoping. But we'll see what ends up happening there. But of course, remember my birthday around the corner. But this week was about Angie. It was her special day. Nice of everybody to reach out and say, hey, happy birthday, Angie. We all enjoy it. And somebody said, just get it over with and just show us the goods. Somebody said that too. And you can't do that stuff on here. But, everybody's got a prize for the $1 Million Man. And as Ted DiBiase once said, and as Jesse Ventura once said, follow the money. Angie's up for it. She's got expensive taste. So whatever it takes at the end of the day. But she'll sign that contract for sure. Mm-hmm. It's got to be legal for sure. But if you want to be the question of the week, shoot it to the Kyle Peterson Show at gmail.com or leave it in the comments. What?
I was just thinking, or you can move in next door.
Yeah, that's true too.
You want to see the goods.
You want to see, you can move in. The pool just got broke in this week. There's going to be a lot of pool time this summer, so be ready for that.
Or if you want to pretend, buy a
Angie,
Girls Gone Wild DVD.
Do you think we should do an episode from the pool? Maybe we should do that.
Sure.
We could just do an episode inside the pool and have it all set up outside.
Sure. Or at least a segment. Or something.
Yeah, I mean.
Or we can close it out.
It might be tough because we might get electrocuted too if we have all the audio equipment in there. I don't know how that works.
We'll just
Electricity.
Maybe just close it out.
We're saving that for another. But yeah, we'll see what happens. But Angie will put her finest bathing suit on. And of course, you need about 50 different suits. So we'll see where that goes. But once again, if you got the question, put it in the comments or shoot it to the Kyle Peterson Show at gmail.com. Same thing with the reviews as well. And Angie, next week, episode unlucky number 13. So maybe we should do something. I don't know what we could do about that. I don't know.
It's weird. I feel like we're lining up with the dates.
Yeah, because Friday the 13th. Yeah, it's just unlucky time here. So who knows? Maybe there won't be another episode. We might just fall off a cliff or something like that. You never know what might happen. But Angie, another week's come and gone.
We did it.
Yep, we did it again. I'm going to be coming and going later too, I think. So we'll see. We're off to Never Never Land, like a young Metallica is what we're off to. But there it is, episode 13 of the Kyle Peterson Show. Angie, thank you for joining me once again.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. Until next time, I'm Kyle. This is Angie. We'll see you guys all real soon.
Well, are we gonna dance or are we gonna play?